Late at night, you sit alone with your thoughts. You feel a pull, a dark, familiar tug from inside. You've set a goal you genuinely want to change, and yet some part of you quietly undermines every step forward. It's as if two minds reside within you, one yearning for growth, another clinging to comfort. In the stillness, you can almost hear their struggle, a silent war within. This is the perplexing reality of self-sabotage, wanting one thing and doing the opposite. It feels irrational, even maddening. But in the shadows of our psyche, every act of self-sabotage has a reason. It's not logical, it's neurological. To understand why we often stand in our own way, we must venture into the depths of the brain, into the conflict between our highest intentions and our oldest instincts. Prefrontal versus limbic, the conflict within. Imagine your mind as a house with two guardians. In the high tower resides the prefrontal cortex, the rational planner who envisions the future, sets goals, and exercises self-control. Deep in the basement lurks the limbic system, an ancient emotional force driven by desire, fear, and instant gratification. Every day, these two guardians negotiate your choices. The prefrontal cortex speaks in the language of long-term consequences and values, but the limbic system whispers in the tongue of immediate feelings, comfort, pleasure, relief. When you decide to wake up early and exercise, it's the prefrontal cortex making promises. But when morning comes and you hit snooze, that's the limbic system seeking the immediate bliss of more sleep. Neuroscientists have found that this internal tug-of-war is quite literal. In moments of temptation, brain scans show the limbic system, emotion and reward centers, flooding with activity, while the prefrontal cortex, the seat of willpower, is comparatively quiet. Opting for an instant reward over a long-term goal isn't simply a moral failing or a lack of discipline. It's a reflection of a very natural brain process shaped by millennia of evolution. In essence, your rational brain and your emotional brain are wrestling for the steering wheel, each convinced it knows what's best for you. This conflict is the heart of self-sabotage. One part of your brain pushes you toward growth, while another pulls you back to safety, even if that safety is stagnation. Psychologists note that self-sabotage often arises from this split, a genuine desire for change overridden by an unconscious impulse to stay comfortable and safe. The brain has a deep preference for predictability over progress. It will choose a familiar discomfort over an unfamiliar improvement because the known feels safe. What looks like procrastination or laziness from the outside is often an internal nervous system strategy, a way to avoid perceived threats and uncertainty. In other words, when you sabotage your own plans, your brain believes it's protecting you. Dopamine and the short-term trap. In this inner battle, chemistry becomes a weapon. The limbic system wields dopamine like a double-edged sword. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter of reward, surges when we anticipate pleasure or relief. It's meant to motivate us toward things that ensure survival and well-being. But in the modern world, this ancient reward system can turn against our long-term interests. Consider how easy it is to scroll on your phone instead of studying, or to binge-eat junk food when you've vowed to eat healthy. Each time we choose a trivial distraction or indulgence, we get a quick dopamine hit, a tiny pulse of satisfaction. Our brains have been hijacked by a world of endless instant rewards. Every notification, every like on social media, every bite of sugary food offers a small rush of dopamine on demand. Meanwhile, the truly meaningful tasks, writing that novel, preparing for that exam, building that business, provide no immediate reward, only a distant, uncertain payoff. Our limbic brain, biased toward short-term gratification, struggles to value those distant rewards. Under stress or boredom, this bias intensifies. The emotional brain will grasp for anything that offers immediate comfort. You might find yourself opening a video game or streaming a show for just a minute, when a difficult task looms. That's dopamine calling, offering escape. It's the same mechanism that once rewarded our ancestors for finding ripe fruit or shelter, now misfiring in a landscape of digital temptations and ultra-processed treats. Research shows that when we're stressed or uncertain, our dopamine system shifts into overdrive for quick rewards. We reach for distraction or procrastination as a way to soothe ourselves. The relief is real but fleeting, and it strengthens the very habit that derails us. Every time you get that quick fix, your brain learns. Avoiding the report you need to write or the tough conversation you need to have brings a momentary calm, a drop in anxiety, which reinforces the avoidance. Psychologically, it's like giving a crying child candy to stop a tantrum. The brain, relieved by the short-term reward, quietly notes, "Yes, do that again next time." Over time, this becomes a loop of self-sabotage. Stress or fear triggers avoidance. Avoidance gives relief. Relief teaches the brain to avoid again. It's a cycle powered by dopamine, and it keeps us stuck, trading our future growth for immediate comfort. Breaking out requires more than willpower. It requires understanding this cycle and gently rewiring it, a process we will return to. Decision fatigue, when willpower runs dry. Even when our rational mind is strong and our intentions are clear, mental energy is finite. Every decision we make, every act of self-control, uses up a bit of that energy. By the end of a long day of meetings, choices, and self-restraint, we often find our resolve faltering. This is the realm of decision fatigue, a quiet erosion of willpower that can set the stage for self-sabotage. Neuroscience likens the willpower in your prefrontal cortex to a muscle that tires out with heavy use. Each choice, each moment you force yourself to do the hard thing instead of the easy thing, depletes a little more of your cognitive resources. In the morning, your mind is fresh and your inner executive, the prefrontal cortex, stands strong. But as the day wears on, the mind shifts from strategic to reactive. The guard of your high tower grows weary, and the impulses from the basement grow louder. We've all experienced it. After a day of virtuous eating, you find yourself raiding the fridge at midnight, or after hours of focused work, you succumb to mindless web browsing. It isn't simply a lack of character. It's your depleted brain seeking the path of least resistance. Studies on decision fatigue note that when mental energy runs low, people become impatient and impulsive, more prone to seek immediate relief and less able to weigh long-term outcomes. Complex decisions feel daunting, so we avoid them. Willpower is drained, so habits take over. We default to whatever is easiest instead of what is best. In essence, an exhausted brain often hands control back to the limbic system, which is more than happy to prioritize comfort over growth. Understanding this vulnerability is crucial. It means that self-sabotage often isn't a conscious choice at all, but a fallback when our mental energy is spent. The will to push toward our goals is a limited resource. If we squander it on countless trivial decisions or unending stress, we have little left when it truly matters. Decision fatigue makes us seek reward and avoid effort, tilting the internal war in favor of short-term comfort. Recognizing this pattern is the first step to changing it. By conserving mental energy for what matters, creating routines that reduce trivial decisions, and being compassionate with ourselves when we're worn out. After all, even the most disciplined mind needs rest. Without it, the old instincts easily reclaim the throne. An ancient brain in a modern world. Why does it often feel like we are at odds with ourselves? Part of the answer lies in evolution. Human brains evolved in a very different world than the one we inhabit now. We carry the same neural wiring that kept our ancestors alive in prehistoric times. But that wiring isn't always suited to the complexities of modern life. In a sense, we're running Stone Age software on modern hardware, coping with ancient instincts in an era of smartphones and superstores. For tens of thousands of years, our survival depended on immediate returns. Finding food, securing shelter, avoiding threats, these were urgent daily concerns. Our neural reward circuits, like dopamine, evolved to prioritize whatever brought quick, certain benefits. The human brain became finely tuned to scan for danger and seize reward, because hesitating or longing for long-term ideals could mean death in unforgiving environments. Fast forward to today. Those same neural circuits are still active, but now they grapple with abstract goals, long-term projects, and symbolic rewards like money or career success. The result can be a profound mismatch. We consciously strive for long-range plans, write a book over a year, save for retirement, stay faithful to a diet. But our subconscious brain remains biased towards the immediate and tangible. This evolutionary mismatch is at the heart of many self-sabotaging behaviors. The brain that once helped us survive famine now makes us overeat in a land of plenty. The instincts that once helped us evade predators now trigger anxiety at the thought of speaking up in a meeting or taking a risk on a new venture. As one writer put it starkly, the same neural circuits that kept your ancestors alive on the African savanna are now making you overspend on Amazon. In other words, our brains literally sabotage us, not out of malice or weakness, but because they are following outdated directives, ancient code meant for a very different life. Knowing this can be oddly comforting. It reminds us that our self-defeating patterns are not simply personal failures or character flaws. They are in part side effects of a brain doing its best to protect us, albeit using algorithms learned long ago. This doesn't mean we are powerless or doomed to self-sabotage forever. On the contrary, it means we can begin to hack the system gently, respectfully, by acknowledging our primal impulses and finding modern strategies to work with them. Our brains are remarkably adaptable, but the first step is to recognize the inner cave dweller in all of us, that cautious, reward-hungry being that must be befriended rather than beaten into submission. Patterns and prisons, the comfort of familiar habits. Over time, individual acts of self-sabotage can calcify into stubborn habits. What begins as an impulsive escape, skipping one workout, delaying one project, can quietly solidify into a routine etched into the neural pathways of our brain. The neuroscience of habit formation reveals that repeated behaviors become encoded in a region called the basal ganglia, effectively turning into automatic scripts that play out with little conscious input. Once a pattern is ingrained, we might sabotage ourselves without even realizing it, simply because that's what we've always done. The brain, for all its genius, loves to take shortcuts. If a certain action reliably provided relief or comfort before, our brain will be eager to automate it. Did avoiding difficult conversations save you from discomfort in the past? Then avoidance becomes a reflex. Did procrastinating on work momentarily ease your stress? Then procrastination becomes a default setting. These habits are like well-worn grooves in the mind, easy to slip into, difficult to escape. And here lies a cruel truth. The brain clings to what is familiar, even if it is self-defeating. Familiarity equals safety in our neural code. So even a bad habit, once it's familiar, feels safer to the subconscious than a new positive behavior that's unproven. Think of it as being imprisoned in comfort. The walls of the prison are the routines we know by heart. They might keep us stuck in place, but at least we know every corner of this cell. It's home. That's why change, even good change, often provokes resistance. Starting a new habit or breaking an old one forces the brain out of its comfort zone. That new gym routine or writing schedule isn't just a change in behavior. To the subconscious, it's a step into the unknown. An unknown can feel like danger. So we unconsciously sabotage the change and retreat to the familiar pain we know. It's why someone might repeatedly ruin relationships just when they start to go well, or quit a project right when success is within reach. because on some deep level, the success feels foreign and the old disappointment feels like home. This is not to say we deliberately enjoy pain or failure. Rather, our nervous system finds predictability comforting. As one psychologist observed, even if something feels bad, it might still feel familiar, and familiarity is comforting to a brain wired for survival. In practical terms, this often looks like choosing short-term comfort over long-term fulfillment, sticking with painful patterns simply because they're known, and avoiding change even when it promises to improve our lives. We become loyal to our suffering purely because it's ours. Recognizing this tendency can help us approach ourselves with more compassion. You are not weak for struggling to break a bad habit. In fact, your brain is doing what it thinks is keeping you safe. The key is to gently show it that a new pattern can be safe too, that the walls of the old prison are not the only shelter available. The identity trap. Who do you think you are? Beneath the layers of brain chemistry and habit loops lies perhaps the most profound aspect of self-sabotage: identity. We each carry a mental image of ourselves, a story of who we are and what we deserve, forged by years of experiences, memories, and messages from others. Sometimes without realizing it, we become captives of that old story. We might consciously crave a better life, but if deep down we believe we're not the kind of person who succeeds, or if a part of us is afraid of becoming someone new, that hidden identity can pull us back into our old ways. Psychology and neuroscience research point to identity as a powerful, unseen force behind our habits. Habits aren't just actions, they're expressions of who we believe ourselves to be. For example, you might have a goal to become fit and wake up early to exercise. But if your internal self-image still whispers, "I'm a lazy person," or "I've never been athletic," that identity will conflict with the new habit. In subtle ways, you'll find yourself skipping workouts, hitting that snooze button, reverting to form, because staying unfit feels consistent with who you are, while becoming fit feels fraudulent. This is known as the hidden identity trap, where your unconscious self-image sabotages your conscious goals to keep your world consistent and predictable. Our identities are often shaped by the past. Perhaps as a child you were criticized or made to feel inadequate, so you internalized an identity of unworthiness. Now, as an adult, whenever you approach success or praise, it clashes with that old sense of unworthiness, and so you might ruin the opportunity or shrink back, reinforcing the familiar feeling of smallness. It's a perplexing truth that many of us are more comfortable being wrong in a familiar way than right in an unfamiliar way. Success can be terrifying if we secretly feel we don't deserve it, or if we fear it will alienate us from others. So we stay in our lane, play small, or unconsciously mess up things that matter to us, all to protect the story our identity clings to. Unmasking this pattern is like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, you see that the enemy wasn't really an enemy. It was a guardian in disguise. Your self-sabotaging behaviors were guarding an identity that felt safe, even if it kept you stuck. Realizing this transforms how we approach change. It's no longer a battle of willpower, but a process of reimagining who we are. Change that sticks isn't just about what we do. It's about who we become. When you start to gently update your identity, seeing yourself as someone who can succeed, who is worthy of happiness, who is capable of growth, the need to sabotage yourself begins to fade. The internal conflict resolves into a kind of peace. The two guardians in the house of your mind start working together rather than at odds. A quiet revelation. In the final analysis, self-sabotage is not a curse or a moral failing, but a profoundly human phenomenon. It is the result of a brain that yearns to protect us, even if its methods are counterproductive. This understanding is our quiet revelation. You do not need to be your own enemy. The part of you that wrecks your plans isn't truly out to get you. It's scared or tired or unconvinced that the future you dream of is safe. And how do you treat a fearful, tired, unconvinced mind? Not with anger or force, but with patience, curiosity, and compassion. Imagine for a moment that the conflicting voices in your head are two halves of a whole, finally sitting down at a table together. The rational, aspirational self speaks of dreams and values. The emotional, protective self speaks of fears and needs. Listen to both. In that listening, the war quiets down. You begin to negotiate new agreements, small steps forward that don't terrify your inner protector, small acts of courage rewarded with kindness, not harshness. Over time, safety and growth stop being opposites. The brain learns that it can survive success, that it's okay to step into the unknown a little bit at a time. The loops of self-sabotage start to lose their power, not because you force them away, but because you understand them now. This journey inward does not end with a triumphant victory parade. It ends quietly, with a deeper self-awareness and a gentle resolve. You might still hear echoes of old doubts or feel the pull of old habits, but you know them for what they are, echoes and pulls, not chains. And in that knowledge there is freedom. You stand at the edge of your next decision, aware of the old impulse to self-sabotage, but also aware that you have a choice. In this moment, you realize the path ahead is not predetermined. It is yours to navigate, one mindful step at a time. As the screen fades and the last words of this narration linger, take a breath. Feel the quiet power of understanding your own mind. The journey of self-mastery is ongoing, personal, and profound, and you are already on your way. If this exploration resonated with you, consider walking with us further. Subscribe to Neuromystique and join a community of fellow travelers delving into the mysteries of the mind. After all, the war within can become a dance within once you learn the steps, and we're here to explore those depths with you, in darkness and in light.